There's many intelligent people that are following our podcast channel, and one of them is a gentleman by the name of Nixon Master. Now, Nixon Master is a very intelligent person when it comes to hockey history. He brought up something interesting the other day about a previous podcast about bad hockey cards in NHL history. Now, he mentioned this person's 1971-72 OPG card, and it's going to be in this podcast visuals, and let me tell you, that was a terrible card. But you know what's really ironic, ladies and gentlemen? I'd rather see a player with a bad card and be bad on the ice. This guy was a great star, and he probably played with one of the most important lines of the LA Kings during their kind of Marcel Dion era, and when Dion finally arrived. So we're going to talk about the very rugged and the very legendary Mike Corrigan. Now, Michael Joseph Douglas Corrigan, Corrigan, because there's a couple of Corrigan spellings. That's for my people in northern New Brunswick. A lot of Corrigans up there. He played 594 games in the NHL. Now, including the Kings, the Canucks, and the Penguins. Now, he was also an assistant coach with the Penguins from 81 to 84. He first came to major prominence, ladies and gentlemen, with a very strong career with the Toronto Marlies for 2 seasons. Now, his last season with the Marlies, he had 61 points in 41 games and eventually ended up with Rochester and Tulsa of the CPHL. Now, because he was undrafted, he was open to any team. 67, he played with Rochester and Tulsa. Then ended up with the expansion LA Kings in the 68 season. He got some seasoning in Springfield over 3 seasons and finally cracked the roster in 1970 with 6 goals in 36 games. But in 1971, he found himself with the expansion Canucks, scoring 21 goals in 76 games and a very offensively lacking team. Now, here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. The Kings were still interested in Corrigan and eventually ended up back with his former team in 72. He started the year with the Canucks, ended up with LA, where he scored a grand total of 15 goals. But 1973 was his breakout year. He was amongst the top players in NHL that season with a career high 37 games and 37 goals in 78 games, including 67 points. Now, when he was playing with the Kings, he was put on probably one of the better lines in Kings history with Bob Barry and Whitey Whiting on a line nicknamed the Hotline, which, of course, scored a lot of goals. Now, in the 76 season, it was his best money year for a lot of people. He scored 22 goals in the regular season and added 4 important points in the playoffs. And that was the year where the Kings and Bruins had their historic series, where Boston and the Kings probably played some of their best hockey of the decade. Now, in Game 6 of the quarterfinals against the Bruins, he scored one of the biggest goals up to that time in Kings history, when he tripped but scored while lying on his stomach in the waiting moments to tie a game that the Kings won in overtime. But, the Kings were coming on in the mid-1970s, just like Pittsburgh. And ironically, he ended up with Pittsburgh the next season, scoring 14 goals in 73 contests. Now, in 78, he was back with Pittsburgh. And like I said, after the 78 season, he became assistant coach with them from 81 to 84. Now, Mike, who was 5'10", 195, a good Ottawa boy, could also play multiple positions on the ice. And his junior hockey days, because he played a little goalie, he often said that if both goalies got injured in the same game, he would always be the emergency goaltender. So a very interesting career. And the fact is, one hockey card doesn't ruin a career, because if that was at all the painted OPG and Topps cards through the years, you'll look at some of the paint jobs in the mid 70s there. I mean, just terrible. But Mike Corrigan, very, very efficient. I think he had one of the best shot percentages in the mid 1970s in the NHL. But what was really cool, if you can find the old tapes of the Kings jerseys, especially the yellow gold back in the day, they look very, very festive or positive at scoring goals. When the Kings were rolling, they had a lot of fans because you play good, It's because you look good, and you look good with those old jerseys back in the day. And I kind of miss it because the Kings used to give Montreal a little hassle every once in a while. Cannageezer and Maneri and all those strange defensemen that only the Kings would have. The 17 letters on the back. Sheldon Cannageezer, we all remember him. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. The subscriptions and the comments have been very effective in recent weeks. We're trying to increase it. This channel is not monetized, so we're trying to find a way to get enough subscribers that towards a monetization and take the money to maybe benefit hockey programs across Canada and North America. Because the goal of this is to celebrate the history of the NHL and pro hockey through a version of my old print column when I used to work with Brunswick News, the Raymond family, and the Corrigan family in New Brunswick. This is a tribute to all my readers and to you, my new listeners. So thank you for taking time out of this COVID somewhat pandemic. It used to be a pandemic, but it's calmed down in Canada. Our friends in the States, hold on. Better times are coming for you guys. I know it's kind of weird. We have 50,000 cases a day or 40,000, but I trust you. All the hockey fans, you're blessed to be hockey fans. Better days are coming. I promise. Because when you're a hockey fan, God is a hockey fan. He will take care of you. Have a good day. Bye.